Well, happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to our Through the Eyes of Survivors Valentine's Day special. Valentine's Day is supposed to be about love. It's cards and flowers and grand gestures. A lot of times, it's the idea that love should be intense and consuming and dramatic, something to fight for. We read about how you sacrifice for it, you endure for it, and from time to time, we are when we're young, we're taught that if something hurts, it must mean it matters. That jealousy is passion, that control is concern, that suffering is proof of devotion. We see that all the time in books and movies. I mean, even right now, the new edition of Wuthering Heights coming out promotes that. And so many of us learn those lessons without ever realizing how dangerous that can be. And because when you grow up believing that love is supposed to be hard, you stop questioning why it feels so heavy. You start excusing behavior that makes you uncomfortable. You tell yourself that their jealousy means they care, that their anger means they're hurting, or that if you just love them better, or just love them enough, or sacrifice more, maybe even keep a little quieter, things will improve. And I'm here to tell you that's not love. That is conditioning. For survivors, these romantic myths don't just blur the lines, they erase them. They make harm harder to name and even harder to leave. So they turn control into devotion, and they turn fear into loyalty. Your survival is not proof that you are committed. And when someone finally starts to feel uneasy, the world often reinforces that lie. Every relationship is hard. Nobody's perfect. Love means your sacrifice, and if you truly love them, you're going to try harder. What no one asks is why sacrifice only goes one way. So, in today's conversation, it's about learning those stories, the ones we were handed, about romance and devotion and what love is supposed to be and how we're supposed to be devoted to it at all cost. It's about naming the difference between healthy effort and harm that's been romanticized. It's about looking honestly at dynamics like the Romeo narrative, where intensity is often mistaken for love and persistence is mistaken for care, and understanding how easily those stories can trap someone into something that slowly erodes them. This isn't about ruining romance. It's definitely about redefining it today, because real love doesn't require you to shrink or to silence yourself or to lose that sense of safety. It doesn't demand that suffering be the proof, and it never asks you to give up on your peace or yourself in the name of devotion. This is Through the Eyes of Survivors.
Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important notice.
Well, welcome back. And before we get into our topic, I want to plug our affiliates as always. We have some really great affiliates here with Break the Silence. And so we're going to take a time to talk about something that can really empower your journey towards safety and healing. It's called Truth Finder. It's a simple tool that helps you uncover public records and background information about people you may encounter in your life. Whether you're reconnecting with someone from your past or just want to ensure the people around you are trustworthy, Truthfinder provides you with the information you need to make informed decisions. And here at Through the Eyes of Survivors, we're all about creating safe spaces and giving survivors the tools they need to reclaim their power. That's why we're excited to share Truthfinder with you. And I have used it personally, so I know how well it works. This tool helps you take control of your security and peace of mind. So try it out. Support our podcast. Visit the link in the description or the comments. And thank you for supporting our mission and helping us stay empowered. Also, Opus Clips, which is an AI driven platform that helps turn powerful podcast moments into short, impactful clips. From survivor stories to hard truths, Opus Clips helps us amplify our voices and spread awareness across our platforms. If you want to turn your content into scroll stopping reels and shorts, try Opus Clips by using our special link also in the comments or in the description below. And lastly, the Self Defense Keychain Store. We're proud to partner with them as an official affiliate of Through the Eyes of Survivors. This is a woman minority owned based business that provides discreet, stylish self defense tools that you can keep in your person or on your person. So visit them in the link and use the code Break the Silence for your 10% off. So wonderful. Now, before jumping in, I want to take a moment to reintroduce our guest, especially for anyone who may be listening for the first time, and always because she's someone our audience has heard before, and we love the discussion with her. So this is Debbie Crate. She is a survivor, an advocate, an educator, and a mom of 3 adult children. Her journey in advocacy didn't start because she set out to become an expert. It started because she lived through forms of abuse that were incredibly difficult to name and even harder to explain. The kind of harm that doesn't always come with obvious markers, but leaves with deep confusion and self doubt. And, so Debbie began her own healing. She turned it to research when she started that, and education and awareness, and discovered something that so many survivors eventually come to understand: knowledge is power. So being able to name what happens changes everything. It changes how you see yourself and how you understand your past, and that's how you move forward. So Debbie now runs the Healing Garden, a safe place centered on recovery, education, and community for survivors, with a background in teaching, social sciences, and writing, and ongoing studies in psychology, um, um, and sociology, criminology, and gender. And she brings a depth of insight from both, an informed and a deeply human perspective. Her work focuses on legal advocacy and empowering survivors of intimate partner violence and coercive control through education and breaking the silence around the often misunderstood dynamics of that. And the reason I wanted to have Debbie back with us today, especially on Valentine's Day, is because this episode is about the stories we're taught to believe about love, the ones that sound so romantic on the surface, and but quietly teach us to excuse harm or minimalize what has happened to us, or stay in those situations way too long than is really safe for us. So Debbie, I am so glad you're here.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited.
Right. Now, I know before we talked, some in the previous podcast, just a little bit about your lived experience. I don't want you to get quite as in depth as we did the last time, but just give them a little bit for first time listeners about your personal experience.
So I think I would definitely focus on, because there's so many different dynamics and levels to it that I went through. So there is like an economic type of where you can be manipulated or controlled through economic. I experienced that. But the majority, I would say the the definite harm that I experienced was the gaslighting, the conditioning, um, and definitely the slow erosion where you are made the problem all the time. So, and when you go through this, you are taught like that. I think how I explained it the last time is that the person causing the harm is also your rescuer, or the one that comes in and gives you the relief. And that, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones. So intermittent reinforcement is one of the biggest issues that we deal with in course of control. It's one of the highlights of it. um, there's also grooming. People don't think about grooming. They just coordinate that and think that that goes with children and teenagers. But grooming does not. It doesn't automatically stop when you turn 18. It goes into adulthood, and it is the basis of most of these relationships. Is that you are groomed and slowly conditioned. And I use that frog in boiling water, right? Like so
Mhm.
by the time that you're boiling in that pot, it's too late and you're already in it. But it's such a slow burn that it feels off. But then anytime that you dare to question it, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're delusional. And then you do start to second guess yourself. So then when you lose trust in yourself, well, basically game over. They have control of you, and that's what they want.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. So I'd love to discuss like what messages about love and romance and relationships do do you like remember absorbing early on from family, media, culture, etc., that later proved to be so harmful?
um so I think for me, I was always a really independent person. So when my friends were getting in real serious relationships in high school, I wasn't. I like to kind of, I don't know, was like a social butterfly, and I like to kind of fly around and I actually tended to be like long distance relationships, and the sport that we were in, it kind of worked out really well. So, because it gave me my freedom, but it also gave me the intensity to be with them. So, that in a way, when you're younger, you're kind of almost living in this whole, um, it's almost like not like a reality because you're not living with them. So you see them and it's very intense and it's always romance, romance, romance. And then you go back home and you live your life and then you see them again. So meanwhile, problems can be under the surface. They're brewing and you don't see them. But for me, what I can remember with a lot of like around me is that you stick it out.
Mhm.
You stick it out no matter what. I mean, especially too, like watching our generations, like our parents or our parents' parents. And some of these relationships, especially in patriarchal systems and structures, were very toxic and the dynamics were very imbalanced. And was considered abuse, what is considered abuse today, just like 30 years ago, was a private problem. So I would say that that would be one of the things. You stick it out. Another one is that, oh my gosh, he's bringing you flowers, he's doing this, he's buying you all of these things, he's giving you what you want. Oh my gosh, he must really care about you. And then no, that has turned out to be one of the biggest red flags. If somebody's moving way too fast, telling you that they love you within a few weeks, just showing up, by the way, at your doorstep, that's another one. So, like, there's no boundaries. So, your home, your workplace, whatever, calling you, checking in on you, that's another one. Checking in on you. Oh, they're just, and now with technology and with phones, oh, they're just messaging you to check in on you. When it starts to come to the place where it feels like it's crossing boundaries or you're being watched or it's uncomfortable, yeah, there are definite issues there. So I would say that probably growing up, that those were the main ones, and then as time has gone on to like being my marriage ending and then being back out in the dating world, I mean, that's just a whole other ball of wax now.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Well, I mean, some of the things I think even I endured was like people saying, well, it was just a mistake. You need to forgive them. And here's the difference that you can gauge off of. A mistake may be, I didn't balance the checkbook right, honey. So I bounced it because I was like $20 off in my figures, not, um, you know, you can't be trusted with the finances, so I'll take over all of it. And then they control every aspect of the finances. There's a big difference. And that's not just a mistake. That's not just how they do things. And, even for me, I know I was influenced as well by my religion upbringing because my mother was very much at one point looked at me when I tried to talk to her just on a basic beginning level was like, well, that's your husband now, you're married. So it makes you feel like, oh, well, oh, okay, I can't say anything, I can't do anything. And then even when it escalated to a point where it was abusive, I knew it was abusive. And you go to your church and they're just like, well, you're married. Yeah, this is what you signed up for, is what I felt like they were telling me. You signed up for that. And I was like, no, I didn't sign up for that. That is not what I didn't sign up to be abused like that. So I think society put these standards on us, and it makes you second guess it because you're hearing this constantly from people, right?
Well, I
So,
think we can go back to Tara to that one where you had just said, I mean, I can go back on one because when you were talking there, one struck out to me, and that was years ago. So, I mean, think about going back to like the late 1800s and things like that with some of our writing. Like I think of Charlotte Perkins Gilman and the yellow wallpaper, for example. And so that is interpreted where she is put on by her husband. She's put on bed rest right after she has the baby, and he actually drives her into a state of insanity in this room. And the thing is, it's like we as women historically were hysterical. We needed to be managed by men. We needed to be cared for. And then when we do speak out, oh, well, our feelings don't matter. B, we're just being crazy. We're being hysterical. We're overreacting. Those type of things. So definitely that. And then the idea of when you were saying it, when you were talking about religion, but the thing that hit me is the care. Oh, the concern. They talk about how they need to care for you, or they're so concerned for you. Again, this goes with managing. And then when we were talking about religion, yes, a lot of religions too. I won't get into that, but I will say that some structures that are patriarchal structures in religions, yes, that is it. You you are literally groomed. I'm not saying the religion grooms you, but I've been saying that as we grow up, we are groomed by our parents on what to expect. And as women, we are groomed on what to provide for our husbands. Like I do know that across the board from women that I've heard from in different ethnic backgrounds, religions, cultures, whatever, have many times said the same thing. It is to please your man, it is to submit and please your man.
mhm.
Please your man. No.
Well, and so many of us from an early age, I remember this too with my friends. Oh, he's only jealous because he loves you so much. He likes you so much. That's why he's so jealous of you talking to other guys or that kind of thing. So it's really hard when you look back at it to dispel that romantic myth and unlearn it. I think because you learn that through our media, our television, our books, our movies, that jealousy is just, something you need to sacrifice your friends, your family, or whatever to because he loves you so much when jealousy appears.
and yet it's actually one of the red flags out there, of course, but it's also one of the things that leads into other things. So jealousy, like in a lot of cases, is also like I think about jealousy as the octopus, and these are all the tentacles that are attached to it. And there's all these different things. So, like when jealousy can also be a way to isolate you. So when he's jealous of your friend, then you start to second guess yourself. Well, should I stop associating with, and I'm not even just talking about like having male friends. I'm talking about that these can be female friends, because then the female friends, and if the female friends are single, oh, then they're influencing you to go out and do other bad things, even if you're just going shopping. Like, just, oh, and then you do go shopping, and then it's like, well, why did you buy that dress? Who are you trying to impress? What are you doing
Yes,
behind my back?
yes. Well, those guys were staring at your jeans while you were getting that coffee out of the cooler there, and then all of a sudden you're changing the way you dress.
Yes, and that also goes with, it also can go with, I understand that what we're talking about is like relationship myths and dating myths and things, but I'm also going to say that that whole thing where you just said about she's wearing the jeans and her butt looks nice in the jeans, and that's, so then that's her fault, she invited it. And if you want to take that one step further, that's what causes, or like allows, rape culture to continue to expand around in society, because we invite it. We dress a certain way. We've asked for it. We winked. We asked for it. We bent over the wrong way. We asked for it. And so in the relationship situation where we're talking about, he can isolate her and make her feel bad and make her feel guilty for carrying on, and she's not doing anything except putting on a pair of jeans. The issue lies with the other person. It doesn't lie with her. The
Right.
jealousy is a problem with this person, and that is what needs to be realized in many of these relationships. And until people, as we talked about in the last one, understand and have the language and the education and the knowledge, unfortunately society itself tends to blanket these things as normal. So when something's normalized, we just go on with it every day and don't question it. I am guilty of it myself. I did it for years. I
Right.
questioned myself instead of questioning the relationship. Oh, and the other thing is hope. That would be another big one, where we believe in somebody else. We want to believe in the romance and the relationship so deeply that hope is one of the biggest things that we hold on to, that keeps us stuck in these relationships way longer than necessary. So,
Oh yes, absolutely. Um, so so many times, especially with Valentine's Day, because it's Valentine's Day, this can get like really amplified, like tenfold, because there's so many romantic expectations today. So how do you think moments like that make it harder for people to question an unhealthy dynamic in their relationship?
well, I think that a lot of it, if you look at the reasons behind it. So Valentine's Day itself is a symbol. So it's the symbolic. I mean, and we are taught it from a young age, when like when the kids are in pre-K and K and grade one, that they go to school and they switch their Valentines and stuff. And then as you get into high school, it's like, I mean, it's their the little kiss things. Like when I was in high school, we used to get to send like little kissograms around, yeah. So,
We did
and
too.
then, and now I'm sure it's like just, I mean, with like, I'm sure that the other thing is too, with technology, and with like youth working now at younger ages and stuff, and having more access to money, the gifts become bigger and the expectations become bigger as well. So the thing is, if we are indulged in this culture where we have all of these romantic myths, then the issue is it's very hard to break that myth, like break through it and to actually like shatter the glass and to see like what's behind the mirror, which then goes on to, I would say, the next part is when for example, like think about relationships. So if you provide somebody with the truth and you tell them, like, I'm just going to say that I'm out for lunch and I'm telling my friend that, like this relationship is not healthy for you. And I've seen so many changes in you and so many, like, I'm telling you that there's X, X, and X. Okay. The reality to it is that if you don't want to see it, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't force the person to drink it.
Yeah.
So um, I think like sink cost fallacy, right? Like they look at it in some relationships, like if you've been married for a really long time and you know that the dynamic is very unhealthy for you, you still want to believe in the marriage. So that's when we were just talking about the romantic myth and the idea and indulging yourself in what we've been taught in culture with Valentine's Day and things like that. Um, it's like we put all of our eggs into this, the idea that we've invested 15 years with this person. So, oh my goodness, I can't end it. How am I supposed to live alone? And this is another thing that I really think that, like, people can't you shouldn't be validated by the outside person. You shouldn't be that romance and the gifts and the symbolism of a relationship, of being in a relationship, should not be what. And I was very odd that way. Like I told you, where all my friends were, getting into these relationships, I wasn't wanting to be in a long-term relationship, or if I was, it was with somebody that lived 1,000 miles away from me. So I find though that what happens is that people get involved in these relationships, and then the relationship itself becomes what, like, they are expressed through the relationship. Am I making sense? Like
Yes.
it's not like you aren't Tara anymore. You're Tara and Jim, right?
Right.
Like you are defined by your relationship now. Look, it's Sandy and Joe. It's them, and they rely so much on everything that makes up the relationship instead of being able to be validated by themselves. Because if you are validated by yourself and your own independent person, you don't need Joe to be that person. So if Joe is negative for you, you're going to see that because you are independent and comfortable on your in your own 2 feet. So I don't know if that was confusing or not, but I'm trying to
No.
say that people have to learn, and especially young people, they have to learn how to validate themselves and be like autonomous on their own, have their own agency, and then the relationship doesn't, it complements them. It doesn't make them. And this is, I
Right.
think, the biggest relationship myths that I have a problem with nowadays. Well, I shouldn't even say nowadays. I see it now with older generations that stay married for the sake of staying married, and that's the sink cost fallacy. I've put in 20 years. I can't leave this person because I've put in so many years. Or what will I be without them? Versus our younger generation that are coming up, and some are waiting longer to get married or get into relationships, definitely, and thinking of their careers, thinking of themselves. But I do find that when people are looking to a relationship to define them or resolve their problems or their issues, they're going to find more issues.
Yes, and what you're talking about, it's like it's a slow creep that crawls in, right? And people don't even realize that that's how control usually shows up. It's subtle before it becomes obvious, and all of a sudden, it's in a way of where the two, you know, they tell you all the time the two should become one, but at the same time, are you so one that the one person is being totally dominated out, and you're just the one entity instead of the two functioning together. And I think that's along the lines of what you're talking about. And, that's the where you have to become key. All of a sudden, where does this relationship of mine, is it okay? Are we saying it's Jim and Tara at the expense of Tara?
Exactly. Like, where do you start and where does the relationship end? Where does Tara start? Like,
Mhm.
what did you like to do before the relationship? And it's great. I actually was just reading an article about couples that do things together, and that's fabulous that they do things together. But it was pointing out how when your identity is no longer your own, it's the identity of the couple, and you do everything. So you also need to look like, is it like, oh, well, this week we're going to go bowling, and next week we're going to go hiking because that's what he likes, and this week I want to go bowling, or we're going to play tennis together. And you guys are each saying, I want to do something, like I want to go to the movies, I want to go out for dinner. Or is it just that your partner is telling you everything that you have to do? Oh, I like doing this. So now you give up your things. You give up your friends. You give up your pets. You give up going running, whatever, and to accommodate them and please them. And again, that goes back to the whole thing of submitting and giving up pieces of who you are. And
Or
and again,
yeah, yeah,
control happens.
yeah, or even those things where, oh, I just don't do that anymore because he doesn't like it. So that, I would say one of the greatest things about my relationship now with the husband I have now is we do things together, but we're good doing things separate. And he's good with me doing those things separate. I'm good with him doing those things separate. I don't particularly like going fishing. He can go fishing, have at it. He doesn't particularly like, uh, crafting or me going to some of these, shopping excursions. I do these things on my own. There's other things we do together, even in advocacy. The advocacy work we do, even after the death of our daughter, I have chosen this avenue, but he's a big advocate on trafficking. So, and we're allowed to have that separation, and it's good. But the Tara I knew in my first relationship, he was a very much, those that saying, hurt people hurt because they're hurting. And that's the way my ex was. And because of that, he made me a hurt person as well. And so we're both hurting in that dynamic. And what did we learn from that, right? We didn't learn a thing, because what happened to Tara was Tara became, I didn't do anything, move, speak, or anything for quite some time on some levels, because I knew it was just going to cause more trouble, more hurt. I shrank. And you shouldn't have that kind of a dynamic in your relationship.
Nope. And if you also look at it too, for any, you know, young women out there who are, looking to become moms, like, fulfill yourself and make sure that you always are taking care of you, because it's an unfortunate thing, but when you are hurting or you're so busy putting out fires, it makes it very difficult to be the best version of yourself for your children. And so, yes, it trickles down. Like, this kind of situation doesn't just even affect the direct dynamic of the person involved directly. It does, again, like the octopus and the tentacles. It has goes over here to the children, to family members, to friends. I mean, like, and also in coercive control, the dynamic is very centered, focused on the person who is carrying out the abuse. So your daily existence becomes them. It becomes, um, making sure that that they're taken care of, and that you're walking on those eggshells to make sure that you don't set them off. You're not just in charge of your own feelings, you're in charge of their feelings. They're not in charge of yours. Like they personally don't care about your feelings, they really don't care about you, but your job is to, like, maintain them. And when you do that, unfortunately, what ends up happening is you have to jump two steps ahead and always be on it, and that's why it becomes so mentally draining as well. You become exhausted. So
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think here's a good time for us to take our quick mid-roll break. So before we continue, we just want to take a moment to talk about something that truly makes the work possible here, and that is our volunteers. Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence is powered by people who definitely care enough to show up and believe that survivors need to be heard and supported. So, volunteering doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, it just means you're willing to learn and to stand with us as survivors. If you've ever thought about getting involved, now is your time. So, we're going to play a short video and we will be right back.
At BTSADV, every survivor deserves to feel seen, supported, and safe. But we can't do this work alone. When you volunteer with BTSADV, you're not just giving your time, you're giving hope. Hope to survivors rebuilding their lives, hope to children who've lost a parent to domestic violence, hope to families healing after trauma. We have volunteer opportunities for every skill set. Support line volunteers who answer calls with compassion. Graphics creators who build our educational posts and campaigns. Editors who turn podcasts into powerful short-form videos. Social engagement volunteers who help keep our pages safe. Podcast moderators who guide conversation and protect survivors live. Website editors who help publish survivor stories and resources. And video reel creators who bring awareness to millions. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need special degrees. You just need a willingness to show up with courage and empathy. We train you. We support you. We walk with you every step of the way. If you've ever wanted to make a difference, if you've ever said, "I wish I could help," this is your moment. Join our volunteer team. Stand with survivors. Be part of something life-changing. BTS ADV, where survivors find connection, support, and hope.
All right, we are back. And so, Debbie, we've been talking about all these different things about relationships, with it being Valentine's and everything. And I think in the last podcast, what really spurred me into wanting to have you back was talking about the Romeo dynamic. You define that for our listeners.
So that today is the way that they talk about the Romeo dynamic is that it's a lot of it can happen online. So, but it can also happen in person. So, think about it this way: you think you've met Prince Charming, okay, and they come in hard and hot. They tell you all the things that you want to hear, and then they future fake. So they tell you that they want to have a relationship with you, that they care about you, that they have feelings for you, and you go into this. And again, what happens is how a lot of these people in this situation, the Romeo dynamic is in intimate partner violence. So when you were actually talking about your husband and the trafficking end of things, so this actually many people do believe and think that trafficking is like the container and the person being put over, sent overseas, and that does happen. But there is also trafficking in intimate partner violence where this happens. And this is how the Romeo dynamic starts. So they get you involved and then they exploit you once they get you to a comfort level. So they condition you and they groom you and then they exploit you. So, and one of the things with that is that they do seek out. So I find that people blame themselves that have gone through these, and really in anything, like whether it's being catfish or whether it's being exploited financially, like they get taken advantage of financially. People will say, I can't believe it. I was so stupid. No, no, you weren't. You were exploited by somebody that was very, very good at what they did. They are very high maintenance predators, and they don't operate on the same wavelength as normal people do, with empathy, compassion, kindness, like where humanity is very important. They they don't. A lot of them actually are malignant narcissists. Or part of the dark triad or the dark tetrad, where there's like Machiavellianism, psychopathy, um, um, narcissism, and sadism. So, and the sadism part is the part where they don't have any feelings or empathy, and they enjoy watching the other person struggle. And so, harming them, they have to be able, like, they have to be able to remove your humanity or seeing you as a human being and an autonomous person in order to exploit you and use you and not have any guilt in what they're doing. So, how do they do that? Well, then that's how the conditioning and the stripping away and the gaslighting and the dehumanization. Because when you can dehumanize somebody and bring them down to nothing more than an object, then it's easier for them to exploit you. They feel no guilt. So,
Yes, and I would say even out there for the audience, because I know a lot of times we want to think in dynamics of like you were saying with trafficking and stuff, but I experience a little bit of that even with my ex wanted to swing and talking you into those kind of trying to talk you into those kind of dynamics. He wanted to try to talk me into that. We weren't doing that, but he used those kind of tactics even for that. And there's a whole lot of that. There's a whole culture of that with especially amongst young people of having what they call the open relationships, but a lot of times they're grooming you into that, and they're using that Romeo dynamic to do it. And so it doesn't even have to be like in situations. It can be used like that against you.
even in intimate partner relationships where it's you're married, well, what this is part of the thing is that there seems to be this thing that marriage is ownership. It, like, so when a man says that, well, you're my wife, it's your duty. No, no, it's not. And this is the education that needs to happen. And this is where culture and years of patriarchal structure need to be broken down. No, we are not there objects to service men. It's not like, it's supposed to be an egalitarian relationship. It's supposed to be a balanced relationship. And when you're in a healthy dynamic, you won't feel minimized. You won't feel this because it's give and take in a normal relationship. In an egalitarian relationship, there is give because the person that you're with really, when they do love you and they do value you, like you were saying with your own relationship with your husband, Tara, is that they do value you and they value the relationship and they see you and they respect you and they see you and your agency and you see them and theirs, because it's a mutual reciprocal dynamic in both cases. Like this isn't just, oh, that this just happens to women. There's situations where it could be the other dynamic. But where I'm talking about in a patriarchal system, yes, I am talking about a system where the structure is very biased towards male domination. That's basically what patriarchy is really about. It's rule of the father. Um, so yeah, and these dynamics, they do happen, and when a relationship, again, it can go back to narcissistic abuse and that whole um, system that goes down and the way that those happen. But the love bombing phase or the idealization, so that basically is like, it's the same thing in the Romeo dynamic. It's just that in the Romeo dynamic, there's the exploitation is what happens. And narcissistic abuse is, again, is, and coercive control, they're all part of exploitation is all part of it, because the moment that there's a power imbalance and that you're being sought after as an object used to gain value, then instead of a person with agency who's being looked at from an egalitarian perspective, then obviously what's happening there is that you're being used. So anything when there's exploitation like that, that's what people have to look at. So you just have to take the situation, and if something feels too good to be true, you should probably question it.
Well, why do you think that these relationships, the intensity of them is so often confused with intimacy, especially when you're early in a relationship?
Because people want it. People want it. Like, and again, this comes down to the relationship and romance myth. I mean, like, we as human beings are creatures of well, we're creatures of comfort, but we also are, like, we are bonding creatures. We work in groups and things like that. I mean, I've never been more independent in my life than I am now after everything that I've been through. But let's just say that, like, we love our tribe, right? Like, so whatever our tribe is, and so with that thinking, with that tribal thinking or that group think or community thinking, well, we want to be bonded to somebody. And also, we've grown up in society where I told you that so much is put on these relationships. Like, there is just so much value put on a relationship. Like, well, why are you not in a relationship? Do you know how many times I get asked why? Well, do you? No, I don't. It's a choice. And I will probably never, ever, ever be in another relationship again. Probably not. I can't tell you because I don't have a crystal ball to see the future. But if I have a say in it, no, I won't. And it's a personal choice for me. I'm happy. I'm happy with my family, my children, my blog, my tutoring, my life. Like, I'm happy with my friends. I'm doing things that for over 5 years I lost out on. And then prior to that, different things throughout the years that in my marriage and things where I didn't have agency. And now I go to bed when I want. I watch what I want. I eat what I want. I don't have to do someone else's laundry. I don't have to ask permission to go do anything. I do what I want. So, but going back to your question in the very beginning, it's because we are conditioned in society to put so much value in these relationships. So we want it. It feels like intimacy when somebody's spoiling us. It feels like intimacy when they're doing things to us. And unfortunately, in these relationships, what happens is they do so much for you in the beginning. They make it feel so incredible in the beginning that when they take it away, you spend the next umpteen dozen years trying to get that person back and that feeling back. There's a purpose behind it. You spend the entire relationship trying to get the good moments back, and then you start to accept breadcrumbs, just little crumbs of whatever, any kind of experience, validation, attention. So I don't know if I answered that enough for you, Tara, or I went off
You did great.
on some tangent here.
No, it's you really have to. Like you're saying right now, you're in the stage of really learning how to love yourself, be good with yourself, redefining yourself. And then once you take those steps in healing, that's when you start unlearning the myths that you started going through, that you'd been learning all your life as to how love should be and how you personally define it and what a healthy love should look like. And then if it involves another person at that point, then great, as long as they know how to healthily be in love as well. But you have to rebuild that part of yourself first, really, to be able to function and have it work.
Yep. And you know what? I just love my place. My home is my sanctuary, and I love like even like different blog articles that I put on there. You can almost see the healing transpiring and happening. And the blog came from journaling. So, I mean, a lot of these journals went on, they didn't just happen all of a sudden when one day when this came to an end. This was happening for many years because things felt off and I didn't know where to go and where to talk to. So I would journal things down that didn't feel right. And then years later, when I connected all the dots, I was able to go back and say, yeah, that is what happened. See, I knew that right there. I knew that in 2020, or I knew that in 2014, or whatever. You can go back to those. But and journaling is like a self-care. So for me, all of these things came from putting me first instead of somebody else. See, I became the priority for the first time in years. Became the priority of my own life and taking care of me. And that's why I now see remnants of the person that I was years ago. Like we're going back over 30 years ago. Like I see remnants of who I was as that butterfly teenager, and the strength that I had. Like I am my dad's daughter, so I definitely have strength from my dad. And he's not with me anymore, so I think, I always think that he's with me spirit, like there in spirit, and helping me through tough times and things. And yeah, I take that strength and what my dad taught me, to speak up for yourself, but that's what happens. See, the speaking up for yourself, something that I did. And if it was my children, for example, if it was you, I would be advocating and standing there for you, but I didn't know how to do that for myself anymore. Like, because I didn't feel I mattered anymore.
Right.
Hurt my kids and I would have been there saying something, but hurt me, it's like, oh, go ahead, because I'm worthless.
Right. Well, how would you tell survivors they can begin trusting their own instincts again? Like you were just basically saying that's what you're having to do. You have to trust yourself, trust your instincts again. What would you tell other survivors kind of where to begin?
So, I mean, I think when you uh, I mean, not every situation is the same, and I don't think that everybody can have like, not every dynamic allows you to have distance or go no contact. But if you can, if this is feasible for you, clarity comes from being able to get away. That gives you clarity away from it. So when you have clarity, you will start. There's nobody there telling you you're the problem, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're delusional. So when you don't have somebody doing that and you don't have somebody devaluing you on a regular basis, you start to look back at who you are and surround yourself with people. I mean, I did that. I literally went through and just surrounded myself with a very small group of trusted people that I know 110% because they walked with me through the darkness. So I know that they are there for me and love me. So their ideas matter, and they also give me space and validate like me, but I validate myself. And that's a really big thing. So when you start to listen to your own instincts, and you're not having somebody questioning everything that you do, it will start to come back naturally. And as you heal, you will start to trust yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. It's
Yeah.
not like, and healing isn't linear. Just because it happened for me this way and I was able to get from point A to point B by going in this line doesn't mean that that's the same line that you're going to take. So definitely time, clarity, and then, like I said, getting rid of toxic people around you, toxic situations. trying to distance yourself from that. And the way that I did it is my door. So, like in my condo, I say I have a door, and it's like my boundary.
Awesome. I know we need to be winding down, but one last question. So, if listeners kind of take away one truth about love today, especially on Valentine's Day, what do you hope it is?
I hope that people see that love is genuine and love is real, and love aligns with actions. So words and actions align together. You're not left feeling crazy. You're not left questioning yourself. You are always feeling worthy. And love is equal. I mean, love is reciprocal, and it should be unconditional. It should not come with a bunch of conditions put on it. That's not love. So
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie, tell the audience where they can read and find you and all that kind of good stuff.
the blog is just at debbiecrate.com. That's it. Debbie Crate, Debbie Crate, crate.com.
Wonderful. She does some really fabulous work, and she's written a guest blog for us over on our website as well. So check that out. We'll have links and stuff in the descriptions for you. And as we close, I want to leave you with this, especially as many of you today are heading out on Valentine's Day tonight to celebrate. Maybe you're going out tonight, or maybe even staying in. Who knows? Maybe you're celebrating something new with someone, or you're celebrating with someone familiar, or maybe you're still kind of sorting out what love has meant to you. Wherever you are, let's this moment kind of be the moment to pause, because love isn't measured by how much you endure. It isn't proven by jealousy or sacrifice or a constant struggle. It's never validated by how much of yourself you're willing to give up, or whatever it takes to keep someone else comfortable. If you're sitting across from someone tonight, real love shouldn't require you to shrink within yourself to keep them happy. It will not make you afraid to speak to them honestly. And it will never ask you to reinterpret the hurt that they are giving you into devotion or care. So if you're listening to this alone, or feel tender, or re examining what love should look like in your life, know this: clarity is not loss. Unlearning old stories is not a failure, right? And when we choose our peace, we're not choosing on giving up on love. Peace is love, it's self love. And romantic myths we talked about today can be powerful, especially on a day like this. But we are allowed to define love for ourselves now, in ways that feel safe, in ways that feel mutual, always in ways that allow you to stay whole as a person. So, whatever Valentine's Day finds you tonight, let it be guided in this one simple truth: love should feel like safety and not survival, connection and presence and not control and pressure. And if it doesn't, you're allowed to listen to that in yourself and get up and leave. Thank you for spending time with us, and we'll see you next time on Through the Eyes of Survivors. But before we close out, I just want to take the time to know we do have a support line that's open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's 1-855-BTS-1777. If you need resources or a supportive listening ear, please feel free to call or text them. And if this episode connected with you, please share it. Someone you may know is searching for these kind of words, or empowerment. Also, please visit our store on our website. And we have on Fridays our Survivor to Survivor segment airs. If you have a question as a survivor and you want it answered, please email us at podcast at breakthesilencedv.org. And also check us out on TikTok at BTSADV7. We do some powerful segments over there. And we'll see you next time here on Through the Eyes of Survivors.
Thanks.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now open. And this is a great way for you to not only help survivors of domestic violence, but also let everyone know that you will not be silent about this important cause. From t-shirts to bags to coffee mugs, we have so much to choose from. To grab your swag, head to our store at breakthesilencedv.org. That's store.breakthesilencedv.org. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate all that the community does to help support us and this organization. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode and continue to subscribe to